Welcome back to the news at 10. The House of Representatives has questioned an extra budgetary spending of over 222 billion naira for fuel subsidy by the executive. The chairman of the ad hoc committee on the non-implementation of the capital component of the 2015 budget made this discovery during the presentation of the Ministry of Finance. The committee once again queried the presentation of the Ministry of Finance and agencies that appeared before it. Our correspondent Larry Lasisi reports.
Once again, officials of the Ministry of Finance and other finance agencies are appearing before the House of Representatives. The Director General of the Budget Office, who stood in for the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Finance, presented the reconciled report to the committee.
A significant drop in oil price has led to exchange rate depreciation, pushing the dollar to 197 naira as of June 2015.
A chairman of the House committee inquired if a figure of 222 billion said to be spent on fuel subsidy crisis was contained in the budget.
No, it's not contained in the 2015 Appropriation Act.
Where did you find the approval to make this payment?
Well,
where can we find it? Where can we as a parliament find it?
I don't have enough information on this, but I think we will cross-check and get back to you.
The lawmakers also queried an extra 615 billion naira loan raised by the executive without recourse to the National Assembly.
I am not in a position.
After a lot of back and forth between the committee and the ministry made this submission.
I believe that he is fully aware of the situation, and I am also aware that we have done some work in respect of a draft supplementary budget which has already been passed to Mr. President. And so I don't think we should preempt the issue.
The chairman finally gave this ruling.
As the director of the Budget Office of the Federation, there is a budget issue. You've got the capacity to represent her. Go ahead, put the team together and report back to the committee on a date that we approve of after you've done your consultation.
The committee says the next step will be to submit its report to the full House for consideration. Lanre Lasise, Channels Television News.
Nigeria will need an estimated 12,000 megawatts of electricity to achieve steady supply. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Power, Ambassador Godnose Igali, told our correspondent Benga Ashiru that the federal government would need to bridge the funding gap in the power sector to make this possible. He, however, was quick to point out that there are improvements in the supply of electricity because of the availability of gas for distribution plants. Now, the controversial APC primaries in Bayelsa State have ended, with former Governor Timipre Silva declared winner. He scored 726 votes to beat his closest rival, Warman Ogweriba, who scored 10 votes. The other candidates boycotted the exercise when suspected cultists and gunmen hijacked the process. 19 aspirants showed up for the primaries before trouble broke out. And the abductors of the former presidential candidate of the All People's Party, Chief Olufalaye, have reduced the ransom demanded from the politician's family to 90 million naira, as against the initial demand of 100 million. An aide to Chief Falaye, who made this revelation in Akure, says the family has only been able to raise 2 million naira. The 77-year-old was kidnapped yesterday by a gunman who was said to be suspected herdsman in his farm near Akure, the Ondo State capital. The police in the state says the search is still ongoing to rescue the elder statesman. Let's move over to business news, and here's Anne Nwaudu.
You first. First Bank.
Welcome to business news. The nation is likely to face an economic recession in 2016. That's if activities in the agricultural and manufacturing sectors are not revived. These are words of the Central Bank Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, who highlighted some of the observations of the Monetary Policy Committee in Abuja. Mr. Emefiele says concerted efforts must be made to improve the non-oil sector's contribution to the gross domestic product. He, however, said the impact of the Treasury single account on banks' liquidity has remained moderate.
Liquidity withdrawals from the implementation of the Treasury single account, elongation of the tenure of state government loans as well as loans to the oil and gas sectors could aggravate liquidity conditions in banks and impair their financial intermediation role, thus affecting economic growth unless some actions were immediately taken to ease liquidity conditions in the market. Having seen 2 consecutive quarters of slow growth, committee recognized that the economy could slip into recession in 2016 if proactive steps were not taken to revive growth in key sectors of the economy.
Meanwhile, the Monetary Policy Committee has cut the cash reserve ratios for public and private sector deposits from 31% to 25%. In a decision announced on Tuesday, that's today, the CBN Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, said that Africa's largest economy faces serious challenges and remain fragile in the face of persistent decline in oil prices. The cutback on cash reserve ratios announced after the MPC's 2-day meeting is expected to free billions of naira in commercial banks' reserves with the financial regulator and reflates the system struggling on the trillions of naira in withdrawal of government revenues, lending to power and oil and gas sectors, as well as foreign exchange tightening. Well, a new report has been released on return of assets employed by Nigerian commercial banks, which is expected to decline by 200 basis points in 2015 and then fall further to 13.9% on average by the end of 2016. The investment report says since 2012, the pace of returns that banks report on how they utilize their assets peaked at 20%. The rate then declined to around 100 points in 2014. Larger banks in Nigeria are, however, forecast to deliver relatively healthy earnings based on the first half average pre-tax profit growth of over 30%. The report says the sell-off on banks' shares are already overdone, in particular among the Tier 1 listed lenders. Well, it was a positive reaction on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange today. The outcome was in anticipation of an announcement by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Here is Harriet Agbenyi. She tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The Nigerian equities market reacted positively in anticipation of the announcement by the CBN to review downwards CRR on public and private sector reserves at the Apex Bank. The all-share index grew by 0.53% to close at 30,426.10. Seplat continued to advance, up 4.94% to end the session at 255 naira. Other blue-chip stocks, Nigerian Breweries and Forte Oil, make up the top 3 gainers for the day. 19 laggards were recorded today, led by Stanbic IBTC Holdings. The equity lost 2.72%, followed by Flour Mills of Nigeria and WAPCO with percentage drops of 2.40 and 0.55. Banking stocks were the most actively traded, particularly UBA, Guarantee Trust Bank and Zenith Bank. In all, investors exchanged 207.59 million shares in 3,263 deals valued at 3.13 billion naira. Those are the day's trading figures. I'm Harriet Agbenyi.
Thanks a lot, Harriet. While U.S. and European markets ended the day in the red, while other major equities around the globe ended business today with mixed sentiments. Let's see some of those figures now. It's a wrap on Business News for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I am Anne Nwawadu. Ijoma will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
You first. First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Arsenal win appeal against Gabriel Paulista's red card at Chelsea. And that's on sports. You stay with us.